Good afternoon, my name's Heather, and today we're going to be looking at a really crucial part of English within your school life. Now, you will use quotations from Key Stage 3 right up to your GCSE and beyond if you decided to take English further. So the first thing that I want to start and I want to tell you is what a quotation is. We've probably all heard the word, but maybe we're not entirely sure what a quotation is. So a quotation is a group of words taken directly from the text. And what we need to do when we use a quotation is to put them into quotation marks to show that it's not our own vocabulary, but words that we have taken from the text. And we do this like so. So we'll have quotation mark, and then for example, if we take here, shriveled, I'd write shriveled, and then a quotation mark to finish. That just shows the marker, or me as a tutor and your teacher, that you have taken these words from the text. Now, the second most important thing when looking at quotations as evidence is to make sure that we're choosing a good one, because not all quotations were made equal, okay? Some of them are better than others. Some of them are juicier, and I like that word because it makes us think about how we can really dive in to a quotation. We can get multiple meanings from that quotation. We can zoom in on keywords rather than just saying this quotation tells us about the monster, for example, because we're going to be looking at Frankenstein today. We can zoom in on keywords within the quotation to really get a deep and meaningful analysis. Okay? When you read an extract, some words and phrases might stand out to you. So what I want you to do every time you read a new piece of literature, of a non-transactional piece, I want you to be thinking about highlighting the words in the text that stand out to you. Because another important thing to remember is that you are the reader. So when we're thinking about how the vocabulary and the extract as a whole makes the reader feel, I want you to think about how you feel. Another thing to note is that a quotation should be around 6 words, okay? It can be less, but any longer, and it tends to be unnecessary. We don't need a huge quotation. We don't need to be rewriting sentences and sentences, because in the time constraints of the exam, we're not going to be able to analyse them in enough detail. It's always quality over quantity, okay? I want you to ask yourself, why did these words attract my attention? What do they mean? So what are their actual definitions? And then what do they suggest? That might be about the character, it might be about the setting, it might be about the novel as a whole. But what do they suggest? As I mentioned, a good quotation has multiple meanings. It has what we call alternative interpretations. And we look at this through the idea of connotations. Now, a connotation is what a word makes us think of. To put it simply, a good example of this is the colour red. So there are multiple connotations for the colour red. For example, first of all, I might think of the stop at a stoplight, okay? And that could then imply danger, perhaps. The colour red is also associated with love. It could make us think of blood and violence. It may even make us think of romance, okay? So these are multiple meanings behind just the colour red. We're going to delve into this now a little bit further and take some quotations from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, okay? Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is about a scientist who decides to create the perfect human being, the perfect creature. And he takes the most beautiful part from a number of different corpses and puts them all together and brings it to life. But unfortunately, his monster, his creation, does not turn out beautiful. In fact, quite the opposite. The monster is horrifying, and these quotations are going to show us how Mary Shelley uses her description, the language she chooses to get this across to the reader. Our first quotation we're going to look at is shriveled complexion and straight black lips. And again, remember, this is describing that creature, so let's get that image into our minds. I want you to always ask yourself when you're exploding your quotations to get a really deep and meaningful analysis, to think of these 4 questions. First of all, what do the words mean? Here, I want you to think about the actual definition of the word itself. So take, for example, shriveled. That means wrinkled and shrunken. So that is the definition of the word shriveled. Next, what I want you to do is think about what the underlying words suggest. So what does it tell us about this creature's appearance? Now, for me, it would tell me that he looks inhuman, okay? Perhaps he looks gaunt and otherworldly. I could also think it suggests that he looks haggard and worn out, gruesome, and perhaps terrifying. Okay? Your third question, I want you to think about the impact. Now, the impact is the effect. Okay? So the effect on the reader. And remember, like I said, you are the reader. So what is the effect on you? Perhaps you could say that it makes you feel scared about the creature's nature and appearance. He looks monstrous, okay, and may cause Dr. Frankenstein, his creator, jeopardy, danger. And your 4th question, okay, and can you see how we are looking at these 3 questions so far? What a really robust analysis that we're creating just from these 6 words. From 6 words, we are zooming in and we are really creating an in-depth analysis, and that is where you are going to get your marks in the exams, okay? It's in your analysis, your interpretation of the language. So finally, let's think about what it makes us think, feel, or do. And as you can see already, we've built to this point and we've already answered some of these questions, okay? We've talked about it, how it might make us scared. That's a feeling, okay? It might make us think that this monster, that this creation is terrifying. The creature is a danger to society and also terrible to lay eyes on, to look at, okay? In terms of what it makes us do, it could make the reader begin to question if Dr. Frankenstein should have looked into this. Should Dr. Frankenstein have tried to create human life? Fantastic. We then got this idea of black lips, okay? What could that suggest? What could the idea of his black lips have an impact on us? For me personally, the idea of black lips reminds me and makes me picture a deathly looking creature, okay? He is obviously a corpse. He is not living, okay? And that's a really important idea as we go on to look in detail at the rest of Frankenstein. This idea of black lips makes us think of death. It makes us think of him being lifeless, okay? All through those two adjectives, we are already starting to come up with an analysis that we can use in our what, how, and why paragraphs. So what I want you to do now is go away and have a go at doing the second quotation on your own. So think about connotations of the key words. So this idea of yellow skin. I want you to define any words you maybe don't understand, okay? Because it's really important that we comprehend everything that we are reading. Comprehension is so important. I want you to always remember that it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to clarify the meaning of words. Thank you for listening today. I can't wait to delve into this with you even further in our next lesson.